It feels like God has all kinds of friends down here on earth, she said, but I'm not one of them. As we went around the circle, each woman shared her picture. When it was Zena's turn, she held up a likeness of two very large hands holding the handles of an ornate vase. The outline of the vase was carefully drawn and perfectly symmetrical. There were many colored markers she could have used, but she chose to do her picture strictly in black. Down the middle of the vase, she'd drawn a thick, jagged line depicting a very deep crack. Her description moved me. This vase, she said slowly, can be fixed. The hands holding it are about to throw it away. It wasn't a pretty picture, but even so, Zena had taken a step forward that night. For the first time in 18 years, she was honest with herself and others about how she felt in her relationship with God. I always marvel at God's sovereignty in putting groups together. One of the other members, Terry, immediately stepped in and asked Zena how the vase became cracked. Terry herself, a rape victim, just happened to be nearing the end of her recovery. Within the safety of the group, Zena was able to uncover the shame-filled events she'd hidden for years. I had a front row seat watching God do a deep work in Zena as group members offered her acceptance, grace, and truth. Zena's bitterness began to change in subtle ways. It didn't happen first, but then long-term change rarely does. As the months passed, the eating disorder simply became less and less of an issue. Why? Because the pain driving her compulsion was losing its power. Zena had learned to face her pain and let it go, so there was less need for anesthetic. One day, Zena walked into my office. I've made a decision, she said. I want to be trained to work on the rape crisis hotline. She didn't want others to suffer in silence as she had for so many years. She wanted to be a refuge for those who were scared and hiding. She wanted God to use her brokenness to help others heal. She wanted others to know there was hope. Towards the end of Zena's recovery, the God issues came up again in the group. I had saved the pictures from the time before and brought them out for review. Each of the women again received a clean sheet of paper and colored markers. And when they finished, they shared their new drawings with one another. Zena's new picture intrigued me. Guessing at its implication, I felt a surge of excitement. Once again, she had drawn her perfectly symmetrical vase with swirly handles on the side. Once again, it was firmly gripped by the same two large hands. The deep crack down in the middle of the vase was still there too, but she'd added something new to the vase, to the picture. Using the fluorescent yellow marker, Zena drew heavy lines like beams of light spilling out of the floor and flowing to the edge of the paper. Pointing to the crack, she said, "That's where God shines through." As the others reflected on her drawing, one woman said, "Hey, it looks more like a trophy than a vase to me." "Yes," said another who knew her story. "You're in God's hands. You're a trophy of His grace." The rest of the group nodded in unison. Once again, I was reminded that it is through our suffering, our trials, and our wounds that God's glory is often revealed. The subheading under Zena's face could have said 2 Corinthians 4. For God, who said, "Let light shine out of darkness," made His light shine in our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Christ. But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed. Therefore, we do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieved for us an internal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is internal. 2 Corinthians 4, 6 to 9, 16 to 18. Unadorned clay pots, vases with cracks, earthenware jars with chips and dings and flaws, people with troubles, perplexities, weaknesses, traumas, and